Today is World Cities Day. This year's theme is Youth Leading Climate and Local Action for Cities. Afesis, a leading NGO committed to community-driven development and local governance, says there are pressing urban challenges facing South Africa, especially in the context of sustainable urbanization. It says now more than ever it is important to focus on urban growth strategies that empower vulnerable communities. Mduduzi Ntongana is the Basic Services Program Officer at Afesis, and he joins us now virtually. Mduduzi, welcome to On Point. Thank you so much for your time. This year's theme, Youth Leading Climate and Local Action Cities. How interested or even aware is the youth in these climate issues according to what Afesis has seen?
Thank you so much for being invited on the program. From our side, in terms of the work that we do at Afesis, and we work predominantly with the youth in terms of local climate action in their local communities, I think the awareness level of the youth in South Africa in terms of this aspect and topic that we are talking about in cities is one that is very low from judging from our aspect. So in their communities, people do understand the certain shocks and vulnerabilities that they have, especially when it comes to disasters that happens. But I think the awareness level when it comes to proactive planning in terms of what to do when disasters happen, for one example, in KZN, we've been very aware of the disaster that has happened with the floods. But we feel as though that the young people are not aware beforehand of what to do in those instances.
Tell us about how Afesis is doing to help with this awareness, and also how you're doing with regards to upgrading of informal settlements and sustainable livelihoods.
Yes, thank you so much for that question. And I think that's a very important question as well. In terms of localization of policies, I think that's where we have to start. So the Department of Human Settlements, the Department of COPTA, all have policies in regard to the upgrading of informal settlements in what is supposed to be done. And in terms of local municipalities, we feel like this is not translated on the ground with people that have to do the work. So what you find is that people are not prepared when it comes to the upgrading of informal settlements program. And what happens in that aspect is that you find denser and denser informal settlements that are growing in the number of size. And this is such an important topic because the African Union, in terms of the statistics, already predicts that the size of the number of people that are going to be in the urban areas is going to double in the population size. So it shows how we need to take action right now in terms of upgrading informal settlements, also making land accessible for people and providing inclusive housing for people in areas that are in townships where people are the most vulnerable when it comes to access to inclusive housing and affordable housing.
When we talk about upgrading informal settlements, what, in a very simple to understand, what are the practical things that can be done? Is Afesis suggesting that houses should be built in already congested places, or is there other alternative housing methods that can be looked at and employed in order for the housing issue to be maybe not resolved, but to at least be dealt with?
Yes, thank you. So I think from the basic and simplistic way of viewing it, first, there's access to basic services component. So people in informal settlements really struggle to access water and sanitation services, whether that's your ablution facilities or your communal standpipes. So that's usually what is categorized as a phase 1 or phase 2 approach to the upgrading of informal settlements. And then there's what is called reblocking, which comes with the reconfiguration of the settlement layout so that people are not close together in the density of the informal settlement, so that there's spaces for pathways and roads so people can, so the departments can install electricity in these areas. And also there's the accessibility to tenure that people really in the informal settlement struggle to attain because they also at the risk of being removed from the land So there's those issues that really, in the practical sense, really could be using the people in the local communities to also develop and be part of the process of developing their own informal settlements.
Yeah. Just quickly, before I let you go, how can cities be planned in a much more sustainable way, thinking of the future and to make them more inclusive to particularly vulnerable populations?
So I think local municipalities really need to begin engaging with the local community members and not have planning be an expert-led situation that disassociates itself from the affected people. So the people in the area do have skills, they do have the potential and need the empowerment to begin to collaborate with municipalities. For one example, the National Treasury, through the City Support Program, are wanting to pilot a community development program whereby people on the ground of the affected municipalities are able to get in touch with the municipalities and do projects that are community-led. Okay. And I think in this direction and re-looking at leveraging this position, it can be a far wider and scalable solution to have community-led projects that are the ones that are run by the community and take ownership of it. And we can find ourselves in a way better place, which is more sustainable in the urban planning that occurs.
Mduduzi, thank you so much, and happy World Cities Day to you. Mduduzi Ntongana is the Basic Services Program Officer at Afesis, and he's been talking about World Cities Day and how vulnerable communities in dense population areas can be included into city planning as well as sustainability in the future.